A hero is a person who says yes to adventure. Kendra Levin.
You're listening to Writing Roots, brought to you by Aspen House Publishing.
Welcome to Writing Roots. I'm Lee Hull.
And I'm Lee Esses. So far this season, we've talked about how to stir the imagination, how to plot your book using the famous hero's journey, and of course, how to design your world. But I, Lee, am very bad at creating interesting main characters.
Main characters are the ones who drive your plot forward anyway. So it's really important to know who they are. You don't have to know them right away. Just like the rest of the workbooks, you can make note of all of these different things as you write your story if you're like me and you're a pantser. But we include a lot of things here that are good things to know. So some episodes you can go back in our logs to learn a little bit more about building main characters include very first season, episode 4, where we talked about designing main characters.
Season 3, we were talking about writing what you don't know. And episode 7, we were talking about weaknesses in your characters. We want to make sure those weaknesses are interesting.
And then go back and listen to all of season 10 because that was all about designing characters. So let's get into the content of this book and how you can use it to help you build and create your main character.
So the first section, we're talking about their statistics. That includes their name, their nickname, how they were named.
And their appearance, their age, race, height, hair color, and a sketch of them or what actor you would want to play them on screen.
We also want to figure out what aspects of their personality are strong or weak. So if you want to look at Season 10, Episode 2, we talk about using Dungeons & Dragons to develop your characters. One of those things are your character statistics, which include their strength, their dexterity, their constitution, how smart they are, how wise they are, how they can interact with other people, and of course, how lucky they are.
Other things to consider for your main character are their sexual and romantic preferences,
any disabilities they might have,
tattoos and scars, which we have a much larger section later where you get to list out all of the tattoos, scars, how they got them, why they got them, etc.
What your character's education level is like, and if they're street smart or book smart.
What job they have, what job they want, and how they got into that line of work.
Of course, your character's backstory is going to be a huge part of what you want to write about the character. Please write it in this book instead of your actual book and just let it influence your character in your novel.
This is really important to include a cornerstone memory and a defining decision. We also have a section here for your character's secrets.
And how did they get the skills they have?
The next section is about relationships.
One of the first and longest lasting relationships anyone has is their family. So are they estranged from their family? Are they very close to their family? Are they orphaned? Have they been adopted? What is their relationship with their family like?
And who were they raised by? Were they raised by their mom, their dad, both? Did a sibling raise them? Was it extended family? Was it friends?
And do they have children of their own?
This is also a good place to list who they trust the most and who they hate the most.
Who is their best friend? How did they meet? What is their friend group like?
And then, what is their romantic status? Are they single, dating, married, widowed? Are they in a non-traditional relationship?
And what are their feelings about that status? And a lot of that comes down to your character's personality. Most of the rest of this book, we're talking about your character's personality, because really your character's hair color is not going to be the most important thing about them. And a lot of people, when designing a personality, their launching point is the Myers-Briggs. Are they an introvert, extrovert, and such? Some other traits to keep in mind are what kind of faults they have. How do they behave differently in public versus in private? What is their vocabulary like? What is their speech style?
Another thing to consider is how they react to quiet. Not the word, but actually it being quiet. Do they need to have constant noise, or would they prefer having silence?
And what is their social intelligence like? Is your character street smart? Are they really good at knowing which fork to use when?
Other things to consider about your character and their personality is how they express their personality outwardly. So what is their style? What clothing do they wear? What kind of tattoos do they have? What do they do their hair like? Do they dye it? What sort of interests do they have? Because that's all an expression of their personality.
What is their dream job like? What kind of hobbies do they invest in? Are they secret or are they public? And what are their favorite research tangents?
The next section is really important because it influences personality a lot. This section is psychology.
The biggest element of this is the lie that your character believes about themselves. There needs to be a reason why they believe this lie, and there is evidence that they give themselves that reinforce that lie.
Other things to consider are what they want and what they need. Those two things will drive your story quite a bit.
And what are their subconscious traits? What kind of tells do they have? And what kind of traits in other people do they find attractive? And how do they express being attracted to somebody?
Do they have any triggers? Anything that will bring back unwanted memories?
The smell of fresh baked bread can be a trauma for some people. Of course, muscle memory and the skills that come with it. In my world, that's very important. What kind of movements that they create that fall into their fighting style.
The next one is resistance to change. Are they okay with change, or do they want to do things because it's tradition and it's the way it's always been done, so that's the way it's always going to be done?
What is their conversation about? What kind of topics do they love to discuss? What kind of topics do they refuse to discuss?
Do they have any fears? Are any of those fears irrational? And what do they fear losing?
What is their primary defense mechanism?
One fun thing to consider is what your character would choose in the trolley problem. If you're not familiar with the trolley problem, Google it, because we don't have time to explain it.
What kind of God does your character follow? What is their faith system? What is their guiding philosophy look like?
And another part of their psychology that's really important is what they value most. Do they value money more than relationships? Do they value being fulfilled over money? And the last thing in this section is listing something they believe about the world that is wrong.
That's kind of like the lie they believe about themselves. There is evidence to support that lie about the world.
The final section within this book are all about their skills. Throughout the book, we've talked a little bit about some of these pieces, but this is a place for you to list them in whole, including their jobs and their hobbies, their passions.
Their martial arts that they follow and their weapon of choice and their skill level in any of these martial arts.
What sort of languages do they know? How did they learn those languages and why?
What is their relationship with technology? I am a huge fan of Alan Grant and his complete inability to exist around a computer screen.
What is their view on magic and what is their style of magic? Within your world, do they have an inclination for one kind of magic over another?
This is where you would list their spirit animal as well.
Or, Harry Potter, his go-to spell, Expelliarmus.
It's a good one. And what are their communication skills like?
This is a good place to list how they are with public speaking, how they are with one-on-one conversations. Do they do really well with small chat, or are they like me and like to get to the meat of conversations without dealing with, oh, how's the weather? So that was a really long explanation for different things to consider when considering your main character. We have trimmed down all of the stuff that we've talked about, so if you want a further reference, contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or by email and let us know, and we can send you a copy of the whole thing. We will also be releasing free versions of every single one of these workbooks on our website in PDF form. So go to writingrootspodcast.com. It'll be in the store and it's just going to be $0.
If you feel like we missed a lot of opportunities of, well, what about that best friend? What about the villain? What about these other characters that help define who my main character is? Stay tuned. That's coming up next episode where we talk about designing all of those side characters. We have a completely separate workbook for that. And until then,
write selfishly.
If you have a question or comment for our hosts or a topic you'd like us to cover, send us an email at writingroots@aspenhousepublishing.com or find us on Facebook by searching for Aspen House Publishing.